Yo, what up, what up? It's your boy C's from theseasonlife.com. And literally about 20 minutes ago, Mike Urso just hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to do like a live call? We attempted to do it on Facebook Live, but there's some way that we can manipulate it, but we'll have to Google that. That's like the second time we fumbled, but we'll do better next time. Anyway, he got me on a call on Zoom. So we're going to be discussing networking. We also got my man Zach, another Project X mastermind. And yeah, we're going to be discussing networking and pretty much the results that we've got from networking. So stay tuned. And that's my intro, guys.
Nice, C's. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
I just tend to like riff sometimes and go on these long diatribes, but
That's good, man. Let's
yeah.
let's start the topic. So the reason I brought it up today to talk about networking for me was I wrote an article about it, and a lot has been coming to me. For one, I've been trying to think about how can I deliver a good message, good value out to new trainers who are starting out, and then other trainers like myself who are trying to ramp up and get their own private businesses going. And so the networking piece was the one thing that I realized like has made the biggest difference for me. As soon as I started connecting with you guys, with the mastermind, Garrett, Billy, Tara, of course, Naomi, I mean, things just went crazy exponential for me. And it kind of had me thinking we need to be able to share this, how important networking is. We work in businesses and fitness where we work with a really affluent clientele, and these clientele, they understand the power behind networking because that's how they manage their own personal businesses. They refer other people in their networks to one another. And so it's really important that we talk about it and have people understand, whether you're a brand new trainer or whether you're a trainer who's been in the game for a long time and been doing it, how important it is to network. And then again, like, where do you start if you're a brand new trainer and you don't have any skills, you're not very comfortable, going and putting yourself out there on the gym floor. And then, if you are further along the line, how do you get going into that and then get into things like meetup groups, masterminds, things that we've got going on now. So, that's kind of my thought process behind bringing this up.
Okay. You want to lead, Zach, with your approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think networking is one of the best ways to build your business, build your network, learn in a professional and a personal environment. And it's also a really difficult thing to do too. Putting yourself out there and going up to somebody is a really challenging thing. And it's definitely something that I've struggled with, even though I think I'm good at networking. I still got to force myself to get up there and put myself out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely played huge dividends for me when I was at Equinox for 7 years. That is where I built most of my business, was people on the floor. That
Yeah,
came from
Zach,
other avenues as well.
I'm curious of that, Zach, because that's kind of where I was thinking, like, where, like we said, there's a lot of people that are going to span the gamut in experience levels from networking from that very first trainer. And I know for me, I was just like you. I was super fearful in the very beginning when I got
Yeah.
started. I didn't know how to go about it. I was like, I got to go out there with this blue shirt on, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like the scarlet letter. Everyone's looking at me. They know what the blue shirt means. Nobody wants to talk to me. You kind of feel very tentative, very hesitant about how you interact with people on the floor. I mean, I've got a specific approach that I use, but I'm curious, like, how did you go about building from there?
Yeah, I mean, I really just try to create individual relationships wherever the opportunity presented itself. And that may have been on the gym floor when somebody wasn't wearing headphones. Even in the locker rooms, I tried to be super friendly and just talk to people and get to know them with no real reason for doing so other than just, being a friend, really. And that definitely paid off. But I've even saw some other people that were really outgoing on the floor. They built incredible businesses way better than I did. Yeah, so I think it was just about putting yourself out there and being a friend to these people without really an agenda. But I'm curious to hear what your strategy was.
Well, similar to you, right? Because you just said you focused on building individual relationships with people. And I think like in the beginning, when you don't really know a lot of people, you don't really have a lot of skills, you probably even haven't trained all that much, if that's the case, like you're just jumping in from, a school degree. You don't have a whole lot of experience. So just that fact that you're walking in with that inexperience makes you much more hesitant and tentative to even engage somebody. But I think you're right. Like in forming those personal relationships is where you start. You're not just going to go out there unless you're extremely extroverted and you can just, be one of those trainers who just goes out and is like, hey, put yourself on blast. That's not me. I'm very introverted. So for me, what I did was, I felt just like you. I looked for building personal relationships, but what I did was I tried to link up the people that I met with one another in some way. So what I would do is I would meet somebody. Let's say I met this guy named John on the floor, and I talked to John, got to know John a little bit. John found out where I was from, what my deal was. I found out more about John, how long he's been a member, so on, what he's working on. Then I would observe John from a distance, and I would see, who does John talk to at the gym? John talks to this guy over here a lot. John talks to this lady over here a lot. So I wanted to see who was in their network. Then what I would do is I would go out of my way to go, talk to the person that I saw John interacting with a bunch of times. Let's call him Phil. And Phil, I would go talk to Phil. I would introduce myself to Phil. And therefore I wouldn't have to go into this large group of people where I'd feel uncomfortable and try to engage. But I would engage Phil, and I'd say, oh, Phil, I noticed you know John. How do you guys know each other? I met John. John's awesome. Like, I was talking to him the other day, and he's like, oh, if John was talking to you, you must be a cool guy. So now Phil's going to talk to you. You know what I mean? So now you have this circle of like your little ecosystem, I guess, so to speak, of network that you're building from connecting dots with other people. And so people become cool with you because they're, their friends are cool with you, and so on. And that keeps growing and growing, because we all know there's very cliquey members at the gym, and you can find your way to work into their little network. So that's one way I went about it that worked really well, because like I said, I'm introverted. I wanted to be able to approach singular people at one time. I'm really good in the one-on-one. Not so, like, if I have to go into a social event or a bar or something like that, and there's a whole bunch of people I have to interact with, man, I literally feel like I need to take a nap when I leave that place. It just drains me. Yeah. How about you, C's?
Man, yeah, definitely networking has been rather tough, like early on in the start. And I think it's just that learning curve, because coming into it, you're out to get, right? Like, let's be real. Like, your mindset is like, damn, this is my one opportunity. You're thinking like in a scarcity mindset, like, yo, this is my one opportunity. Let me just, and then they can just sense that off you. But then as you continue to do it, right, your motives change, because then you're going to understand, you're going to put yourself in that person's shoes, and you're going to be like, man, I wouldn't want to, like, send any services to me if I'm acting so desperate, right? So over time, it was just like, man, I had to do a ton of soul searching, and just like, yo, see, there's definitely something that you're doing that's like repelling people from you. So you just need to take a step back, reevaluate yourself, and like figure yourself out. So first thing is, you got to figure yourself out first.
Yes.
And once you do that, man, people are just going to be magnetically pulled towards you, because you're just constantly just beaming energy, positive energy, and you're not looking to take, you're looking to give more. And when you come with that different mindset, then next level, you're it's just going to just draw people close to you.
Yeah, that's a good segue, because, we kind of just talked about when trainers are in the club and some things they can do when they first get started to make it more comfortable for them. But what about now? You've been in the gym, or, in your training business for a while. You're kind of past that infancy phase, where it is hard and you're getting more comfortable making connections, but you're not really, you haven't fully blossomed your ability to be, networking you know,
Mm-hmm.
to the level that we can do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At this stage in our careers, like we're much more, I'm not saying expert level, but more, we're working towards mastery with how
Mm-hmm.
networks work and our place in them and developing them. But like there's that middle ground, right? Where the, you know, let's call it like you're 4 or 5 years in your career, and you really, you know, you still know how important it is to build this network of people around you. And
Mm-hmm.
we always say like that, you know, you are a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when we think about networks, it is also about, you know, who are the people you're surrounding yourself with at all times too. That is your network as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious too, like for either of you guys really, what are some of the strategies you used, maybe a little bit further down the line before, let's say like just a couple years ago, before you understood like what it means now?
I knew like shortly after leaving Equinox, I just knew that, oh, hey, that is funny. That's a good little comedy skit right there. um, I know like prior to leaving Equinox, like after I left Equinox, I was just at the point where I was like, I need a tribe. I need like a crew of people just like me in my shoes where,
Yeah.
you know, we can build together because I know the situation that they're in. You're like out there, you're just like, do I get a regular job or do I like muster it up and build my clientele all over again? But I knew I couldn't do that alone. So I was just DMing everybody in the Boston fitness network, just trying to get to hang out. It was more so, that's why the last call that we were on, we were talking about like a networking event, because it's something about just hanging out with your people outside of work, right? It's
Right.
just, it just puts you in a different zone. Like when you go into work, you wear that shell, right? You wear that armor, so your guards are up. You know, you're in that fight or flight mode. But when you're hanging out, letting loose, you know, you in that rest, digest. Let me soak up this environment. Let me communicate with everyone, and you get more from it. So I was like, I need this. So everybody I was talking to, I was just like, yo, let's just go hang out. Like usually Thursdays, Adam and a bunch of the trainers from Equinox, we would go to Whiskey's, and their Thursday 25-cent wings, we would just like bond over it. And I'm just like, yo, this is what it should be all the time, right? And you get so much good information. I'm like always saying like, yo, that's a bomb right there. If only, you know, we had a platform where we can express this. And so many great ideas come from those things as well. Like businesses that you never thought could integrate into yours, you know, that you thought that you had the competition with, but no, their inner workings, you're like, man, I could
Right.
use their sort of situation. So like
That's
get
so
into a space where
yeah.
you can just hang and just let loose and just let your guard down, which is crucial.
Yeah, that's kind of like exactly what I did in a way. But what I did was, I like what you said there, is like you can find common things and help other people. What I tried to do was I tried to be a facilitator for other people. So I tried to build my network by helping others build their network. So what I mean
Mm-hmm.
by that is like I would talk to, let's use you for an example, Caesar. You have, you know, we have a mutual friend you did work for, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, that was set up by me, somebody saying I have a need for this.
Mm-hmm.
I connected you guys, now you guys are friends, now we're all friends, now she's friends with someone else in our mastermind who's, you know, they're having, you know, trying to get together and meet up and do things with. So like we can kind of be facilitators for others as well. And because of that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my network has grown deeper and richer because I helped facilitate more connections to other
And
people
and
who
look,
needed.
that connection that you sent with to me is like 2 layers deep, because I
Yeah.
did the job for her, and in
Mm,
doing the job for her got me another job with someone else.
mm,
So
yeah.
that's just layers to just one, person in a 7-person mastermind group, just like that one connection. And then that doesn't speak to everything else that was given to me and the opportunities from everyone else. So it's just like,
but yeah, that's what it's about.
networks
It's
is
like,
so crucial.
yeah,
Man.
you find somebody who needs something, and I think that's what we do really well in our mastermind group is we ask for, like, this is what our problem is or our struggle is, our challenges this week. Is anybody know, not only can anybody here help me, does anyone know somebody that could help me, or a resource that would be useful, or a connection you could make for me that would help me get through this stumbling block and take me to that next level of where I want to go in this business? And I think that's the biggest thing we can do, is when we focus on helping the other people and helping facilitate some sort of growth or connection or resource for others, it absolutely helps us grow personally too, because that's a reflection of us. If you help somebody, they're going to want to help you back. It's just the law of power of influence, the law of reciprocity, right?
Yes. And that's exactly what, that's why this community that we've created is so big, because we have like 100 and so on, but that's like multiplying this same effect 100 times over. And getting everybody on that same mindset where, network within this group. This is like an opportunity. I understand that, not everybody's on Facebook, or if they're on Facebook, they're distracted by other things. But just know that reach out to your fellow fit pros and just start that communication process. And then once we do pull this networking event together, come through, show out, and engage, man, because it's just more than just a forum where everybody is just getting to know each other. It's deeper than that, and just in their mindsets tuning into that same idea, man.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I'm really looking forward to this networking event that we have coming up. I really like the social aspect of it. I like the trajectory of things that we've gone to so far. I'm really excited to see what more opportunity this could bring and help us find some direction that we're looking to go to in the Fit Pro Development League. I think it's going to be great.
Yo, it's a building block, man, and we're still building. We're in the trenches. I was just I recorded a video a few episodes ago talking about the acres of diamonds, right? It's like it was like a mythical tale about two men, right? One of them who had the land, right, and was a mineralist or something, and he couldn't find the diamonds in his own land. So frustrated after years of digging, he sold it to somebody else, and that person within minutes found the diamonds, right, who had no experience. And then the tale equates that to your mind, right? And it's just so many levels. Like, you have diamonds within you. Every single individual within the Fit Pro Development League has the diamonds in them, right? It's just keeping those prosperous ideas in their mind so that they keep on digging until they find their diamonds. And this group is our way of arming them with the resources to do that. And it's just
let me jump in, guys, because like one thing that's so important about having a networking community around you is the fact that, like, we're all approaching our own businesses kind of singularly minded, like with our own thoughts. The only way we can guide the direction we're going with our personal businesses is from our past experiences, right? That's the only thing we have to draw upon. But when you surround yourself with, like, take our mastermind group, for example, with 6, 7 other people who have walked different paths and are almost around in the same place I am as well, everyone took a different road there. I'm going to have blind spots when I'm looking to try to get to a specific point in my business, and I'm going to say, like, I don't have experience doing this, or I can't wrap my head around how to take that next step. I have these blind spots that the path is in front of me, I just don't see it. You know what I mean? It's there, I just don't see it, to your point. Now people give up on the 1 yard line a lot of times. We hear that all the time, and that's a whole nother story. But for what we're talking about here, whereas we have the path in front of us, we can't see it. You need other people around you who can analyze your situation and say, how about try this, or I tried this and this worked, or why don't you give this a shot, some other idea that allows you to get perspective, and think about the situation differently. I mean, Zach, I know you've had a couple breakthroughs already just over the last like couple months in like where you started to take your business, and the just the vision of where you wanted to take your business has evolved to a place where now you're doing something that like nobody else in the group is doing, and developing some developing technology, which
Yeah,
is that's awesome.
technology. That's
Like you're literally seeing a problem that exists and saying, I'm going to come up with something brand new that nobody has to try to fix it. Now that to me is some really cool stuff. So
yeah.
like the fact that and I don't know if that idea was spawned from the group or from some sort of conversation that we all had together, but it's just really interesting to see how these blind spots can get covered when you have a group of people around you who are being able to view and see things from different angles for you and share that with you.
Yeah, I think that's such interesting insight, and I'm trying to pinpoint like what was that moment. It wasn't one particular moment. It's weird how it happened.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
like
if
it's
the
like
idea,
a compound effect, right?
yeah, but I'm not sure, like the idea may have been there, and maybe I never
But it made
thought.
you think. Yeah, you probably just started to think differently than you were thinking before. Sometimes we get thinking down one track, and then we don't think completely out of the box, which is the thing we actually need to do sometimes to actually really shake up our thought process about it and approach it from a different angle.
Yeah, I mean, totally, and I think being with that group of people inspired me to have the ambition more than anything else. Seeing what all the amazing things that everybody in that group is doing and has done and wants to go, it's like, you know what, why can't that be me? Why can't I try in the same trajectory? And I think, just putting myself out there and not being afraid to fail, and not necessarily seeking failure, but if I'm going to fail, that means that, I'm doing something that was hard and that got me out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm going to keep pushing that flywheel and just try to go for it. And the Project X like totally inspired me to do that. The technology was kind of whispered in my ear like months before. People were telling me about these app development companies and how that could become a reality. And at the time, I was like, no way. And then I think it's through the compounding effect, through the inspiration, it's just like, let's do this. And I went for it. And, I'm in the middle of it right now. And
That's like it's crazy, man. That's dope, man. I just can't like that idea was just awesome. I was like, as soon as you told me, I was like, yep, that's the jam right there.
yeah,
And
and the struggle now, I think the idea is great. And we've talked about this, being the technician, being the manager, and being the entrepreneur. And usually when people start a business, they have two of those things really well. I think I have the technician part down, finding expertise in the field,
mhm.
and the entrepreneurial spirit down, having the creativity and the ambition. But it's the managerial aspects,
the operations,
operations,
It's like which
marketing.
one do you go through
systems,
first, right? It's like you need marketing, you need sales, and you need to create the product, but which ones? Like it's crazy because this is the difficult part, and this is where the blind spots can be avoided with like a group, a network, right? It's because all these three phases of your business, your marketing, your sales, you're actually building the product, each one has their own set of roadblocks, and each one needs to be developed pretty much simultaneously because you need to know what the market wants in order for you to build the thing that they want, right? So you got to do the marketing, and then you got to still create and tweak, and then you get the product, and then you deliver it, and you got to handle your outreach and all that stuff. And you're going to come up with a ton of roadblocks along the way, but there are people who are along that path already who's done certain aspects, not all of it, but some of it, and they can just take some of the chip off of your shoulders. And
well, yeah, I think mentorship plays a part in networking too, and making sure that you have people around you who are, and so this is an interesting. I was listening to this gentleman's kind of opt-in course for online training today, and he was talking about it in the way of, there's a lot of these $1 million gurus out there who, like, let's say you want to start an online business and you've got this guy who's like, oh, I'll take you from, 0 clients to $1 million in revenue in the first 12 months with my, accelerator online training program. And it's kind of like, is that the person you want to mentor you? Like somebody who's so far ahead of like what's actual reality? Because let's face it, like, what's the reality of me going from 0 to $1 million? If it was that easy, so many more people would be joining up with this dude, right? But the thing is like, you want to think about it as you want somebody to mentor you that is not so far on the end of the spectrum, like that $1 million, mentor. You want somebody who's maybe doing like, they're doing like $150,000, $200,000 a year, somebody who's like, it's realistic for me to actually do that. And they're not that far removed from where I actually am right now. You know what I mean? They haven't been in that position that long. They've had success. So they also, those roadblocks, those challenges, they're all still very fresh in that person's mind. They don't see it as like this $1 million person who's been doing it. And like it's kind of like you go into an Equinox, right? And now you have all the CEO and the COO and all these visionaries at corporate who barely step foot in the gym, right? And they have these grandiose visions of how they want the club to operate and the mission. But then they're in the club implementing these policies and objectives, and we're there as trainers, like lowly old trainers, like, this isn't going to work. Like, they have no idea. Like we're so far from that. And so it's kind of the same thing as like, you want somebody who can relate to you. You want them to be able to relate to you.
Like hands-on. At that point, you're just at the mercy of an algorithm. Like they built a machine to systematize what it is that you do. You want somebody that's literally like that person who like put their hands in each and every step, not automated by like an email sequence that puts you through a funnel and then backflips, send you retargeting pixels and all this other stuff.
Somebody who's walked through it.
Yeah, walk the walk, like feels like, yo, I could shake this man's hand if I was to buy him a drink, if I was to meet him at the bar. Not like that person. And they're not wrong either. Let's call a spade a spade. Like those millionaire gurus, they're not wrong. They can sell you the exact formula. It's just the execution is where people,
you need somebody who they're not going to spend the money with you. The $1 million, executor is not going to spend the time needed with you. Like they're not going to get on calls with you and help you through your individual issues. They're going to give you that big picture. This is how you do it. Here's the system. And then, let me take your money. And that's, so there's a bit of a disconnect there in a way.
And like I said, they're not wrong. Like this system, if you were to like execute it, like, but their delivery saying within the 12 months, like when they get super, exaggerated about it, they just tap into your human nature of speed, right? You want things yesterday. And then they just like, oh my God. And then they're going to constantly come across people like that because it's in your nature to click, oh, I could get it in 30 days, money back guarantee. Like,
wait, and I'm going to make $1 million this year and I only have to spend $5,000 on this program?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow. What a return.
Wow. And it's insane, man. And I try to tell people like, yo, these systems aren't wrong, but what they do is, they tap into your urge as a human being for increase, right? You see something that you want, right? And you instantly go for the magic pill. But just know, if you are to take it, be real with yourself and be like, this is the first and last one that I'm going to buy. And I'm going to do everything it does, everything it says until it works for me. If you go in with that mindset, then fine. but don't
Yeah,
bounce from one to the other, to the other,
and,
to the other.
and we say it all the time is like you people want to just, and some people do this with personal training, they just want to spend the money and then say
Yeah.
that they have a personal trainer and not actually execute and do the work
Hmm.
we're asking them to do to get in
Yeah.
shape.
And it's the
There's
ones
people.
that it's the
Yeah,
ones that can afford it too. It's the one that can buy like 100 sessions at a time that
yeah,
feels the most entitled to get their results yesterday. And
yeah.
you're like,
So
huh?
you're gonna have people who are gonna buy this $5,000 program, but
Hmm.
they're gonna buy it and expect the result because they spent the money, as opposed
Exactly.
to spending the money and then executing on it. And then they're gonna complain and say, "Well, I spent $5,000. This really wasn't worth it." But the
Hmm.
question really is the systems and everything were set up in there for you to do it. Did you execute on them? Did you spend the 5,000 and
Hmm.
go in it and say, I'm going to maximize
Commit
the
100%.
execution and commitment I put into this, and then
Hmm.
get my 5 grand back and some. And there's a lot of people that fall victim to that. Unfortunately, they lose money and they say, and then they lose their dream because they're like, well,
Hmm.
I can't do this. I'm not made out for it,
Yeah.
and I feel for those people. So that's why I say, back up a little bit, find
Hmm.
somebody who's just a little bit ahead of you
Hmm.
and talk to them, see how they got there. Maybe bring them on as a mentor. If they have programs, they're going to obviously be a little bit more cost effective, probably, because they're probably not as far in as that $1 million mentor is. But you're probably going to get a lot more out of that person because
Hmm.
they're going to be willing to share with you the process too, because
And
it's
and then
it's
one
valuable to
thing,
them to teach it.
that's so underrated, right? And this and then this is why this is one of the this is what spawned the idea to create like a Facebook group, right? It's the power of like a study group. Have you ever seen the show The Community?
Yeah.
The Community on ABC or
Hmm.
one of those networks where they had these guys from all walks of life, right? Failed actor, um, serial F up.
Was Joel McHale was in
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they all just bonded over studying one subject, right? And they just
yeah.
like had all this lives together, but they just wanted to focus on passing, and graduating from community college. But that same sort of concept can be for like a mastermind group or even a Facebook group, like you and a couple of individuals going through a course or going through a mentorship program, but you guys have the same outcome that you're looking for, whether it's making $10,000 a month in your online business. It doesn't matter what business it is. It's just that's the outcome each and every one of you are chasing. So create a study group to help you guys hone in and focus on the objective of reaching that targeted goal, right? And then everybody, your A is hitting that goal. Like with us, we all have our individualized goals, right? That we're seeking for our business, and we holding each other accountable, sort of like a study group, right? And then that's the best part for networking. You can understand by communicating, like, this is what I want, right? Don't compromise and be like, oh, but I'll be happy with this. It's like, no, set a goal. This is what I want. And then you're just going to start seeing the people appear in your life that'll help you get closer to that goal. And those are the people that you want to keep close and mastermind with. And this is exactly how Project X was, formed. It's like,
Hmm.
this is the goal that I want, right? And then you guys started coming bit by bit with your own goals. And then we just made this beautiful connection. And, the rest is history, man. Like, it's just
Continue to
so
write history.
crucial.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is so crucial. Just like, I know people are gonna want some tactics, right? And strategies, because we're living in like, okay, so what do I do? So the
Hmm.
tactic that I would say, right, is clearly define your goal, what it is that you're searching for your business, and be selfish. Okay, don't think of something that, oh, but if I was to think that, how would that? No, be selfish so that you clearly can define what it is that you want, right? Because the mind, whatever you plant in your mind, is going to have to manifest itself. Don't worry about anybody else. You are the only thinker in your world, right? You govern your thoughts, your emotions, all of that. So clearly define your goal. And then through conversation with other individuals, your goals or your language is going to start edging the conversation towards those goals. If you don't have a clearly defined goals, your conversation is just going to be like, oh, so what's the weather like this weekend? Or, you know, there's no substance to your conversations anymore. Or, oh, wait, you going to the game? No, like, here's my goal. Hey, what are you doing in your business right now? Oh, you're in network marketing, you're studying marketing. Oh, perfect. This is, you know, what I'm doing. What are your thoughts on Facebook ads or whatever? You know, those little tiny conversations are going to add up. But first, you need to clearly define your goals, because you're just going to be talking bullshit and your conversation's not going to go nowhere. And until I literally was like, hey, man, like, real talk, I want to make $1.2 million in the next 18 months. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but start having those conversations. And I literally just ran into this, like totally random, like a hedge fund guy who's in town for a networking event or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know where that situation is going to like result, but I just know like, oh shit, a conversation can spawn, and who knows where that'll go, right? But the goal is clearly defined, and just through these conversations, through these opportunities, you know, something's going to come about it. So it's, if you want a tactic, literally you hear it from all the gurus, and I was like, yo, I'm just gonna fucking listen and actually do it. Okay, yeah. So I'm saving people 10,000 or 5,000, because people literally pay for this basic information. Like, literally take a pen, clearly define your goal, right? And just continue to revisit it, meditate upon it. And throughout your conversations throughout the day, man, just, you know, you'll just see, like, there's no words that you could like, I haven't found the words yet to properly articulate this sort of energy. I'm still working on it, but it's basically the laws of attraction, man. It's like, what you constantly think about, you're going to start seeing, man. And you're not going to manifest a parking lot by not leaving, a parking spot by not leaving your home. You got to drive there. And yeah, who knows, man.
Yeah.
Tend to
man,
go on these long-winded drives.
No, all good, man. It's all good stuff. I
really,
think you're right. Yeah, you do. You have to because that's one way to shore up your blind spots, is to, you know, focus on that one thing. And if that's the one thing you want to achieve, you know, you're going to find it in places. You know, you're going to find it in conversations with hedge fund guys. Yeah. You're going to find it when you're with a client and they're talking about, you know, they just saw their banker and they're doing some investments. Oh, cool. Let's talk about that a little bit. You know, like, you're going to find it in places. So yeah, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and always be curious, you know, be curious, and you interested.
Have literally nothing to lose, man. Like, there's like, at this point, I'm constantly thinking like, what do I got to lose? And then I'm like, wait, there's nothing for me to lose. Like, what is there to lose at this point? You just play the game, man. You play it. You define, like I put on my page the other day, like, you're the creator of your starting line and finish line, man. Just, you know, you're in control of your own game. Just play it until you succeed, man.
Yeah, it's fear that slows everybody down.
Cripples a lot of people. And I'm the same way. Like, right when I left Equinox, I was just having my son, and I was like, shit, what am I gonna do? Like,
yeah,
you know,
I can't start a business now. Like,
I know,
gotta be safe,
you're just like,
secure,
what the secure. And you know, the universe just had a way of ushering me along this path, man, and just kept me edging. And I used to always ask myself, like, yo, why do I think the way that I think right now? And it was in a sort of a bad way when I ask myself that. I'm like, yo, why are you thinking, why are you
Mm,
fantasizing about all of these, the good life? I would just be like, yo, why are you fantasizing about the good life? I would tell
yeah.
like usually in my conversations, I'm talking as if, you know, when they say like carry yourself in the way that you imagine to live in the future. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
took that literally, and I would be having conversations as if I am like, you know, this hot shot, right? But then I'm constantly have to stop and ask myself, like, yo, why are you dreaming this big dream like you're living in a rap video? They're like, yo, Caesar, you're so laid back, you're never under stress. I'm like, and I ask myself, like, yo, why am I living this? Like, why am I thinking this way? Is there something wrong with me? Like, why am I fantasizing all the time? And then
It's because you want to grow.
I know,
It's
and
simply
then
because when you're feeling stuck, or when you're feeling like you don't have something that you feel like you deserve to have, it's because you feel stuck and because you yearn for growth. So
mhm,
that's why we try to make those little steps every day to move us closer to that end goal. You know, and it's never really an end goal, it's always a moving target. But you know, you always are looking or searching for growth. And you know, guys like us and people in our circle, we're every day doing things to try to develop ourselves and get
mhm,
better. You know, Zach, I mean, him and I are always sharing resources about, you know, supplements, or you know, articles about, you know, specific types of routines or vitamins, or you know, anything we can do to like get that edge, you know what I
mhm,
mean?
yeah,
And we're always looking for something like that, like what's the next best thing, you know, out there. So yeah, I think that's I've asked myself, I've never asked myself the question like you did, like why do I think this way? I know why I think that way, because I know for me it's because I have always had a vision for myself to do something amazing, you know.
mhm,
And that's really all it comes down to. So
yeah,
I know why I think that way. Now I ask myself some other questions, like, you know, why, when are you going to get your shit together type questions, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
finally
and it comes
finally
with
that's
that.
moving. But yeah,
Yeah, it comes with that, man. Because there were some times where I was like, yo, C's, go back and work for another gym. And and then
yeah,
my wife was like, no, that's not. It's like she's been so supportive. She was like, no,
that's
you
not
do
what's going to
not
make you
want to
happy.
do
Yeah.
another gym. You do not thrive in those situations. You're going to get
but
there.
but
And
here's the thing, man. It all comes back full circle to how this conversation started, which is
mhm,
we surround yourself by people who are doing what you want to be doing, or are in the same boat as you, who are ambitious, who have the same mindset as us three have on moving our businesses forward. And then you surround yourself with those people. And this is why this type of growth that you had, and
mhm.
I had, and Zach had, from this linear progression has now started to turn exponential. It's because of the people that we're surrounding ourselves. It's because
And what is
on a
it like?
Thursday,
It's less than 6 months, right?
it's less than 6 months. That's why, because on a Thursday night, when I hit you up and Zach up and say, hey, you guys want to jump on a call and just, you know, shoot the shit about networking, and, you know, put some content out there and just have a conversation with a couple friends, you
Hmm.
guys jump right on. You know that just talking about this stuff with two other people who want to
Yeah.
do this is going to help you grow, you know,
Yeah,
and
we've
that's
had
what's cool about it.
awesome conversations offline, and this will make some awesome content too, man. Because like the power of just leaving your comfort zone, and I know it's super cliche, but you gotta like, it's tough, to be honest. Like when you're first getting out there, you just like you're going to have that mindset. You're gonna have that mindset like, yo, I gotta get something out of this situation. But go in, even if you're hungry, just go in with like the mindset of giving value,
Mhm.
and you'll just be amazed. It might not come from that same exact source that you gave the value to. It's gonna come back. It's like it has to make its rounds, and you
Yeah,
have
man.
to practice patience, man. Because once you're patient and you just expect good, it will just come to you, man. And it's just as simple as that. It's just
Do you think,
humans that make it
meditation helps a
complicated.
lot with patients?
Huh?
You think meditation helps a lot with
Oh
patients?
yeah, it definitely does, man. I meditate twice a day. Like I would wake up at like 4:30 in the morning, meditate for 20 minutes, and then right before I go to bed, meditate again. And it just gives me
Yeah, what do you
time
think
to reset. Huh?
what do you think it does for you?
It gives me time to reset and reflect and just maintain my vision on my goal, and I truly believe that with each moment that I spend in meditation, that's like the best, you know, thing that you can do for your mind. It just totally resets, because like throughout the day we are constantly bombarded with distractions, right? And then those distractions are just seeping into our subconscious mind. We're just driving down the street or on the bus and we're surrounded by advertisement. You look on your phone, you're surrounded by advertising, and then you're just constantly getting this information, and you're just stuck with analysis paralysis, right? But when you meditate, you're just there cleansing and just reaffirming yourself what it is that you truly want, not what is perceived that you want through advertising.
Yeah, and then also too, I think like for me, the what it does and how it helps me in my daily life is we always have emotional reactions to things. Like even a client, who says something to you, or somebody cancels, or even at home, you're going through your day and your wife says something you don't like, or your kids, act up and talk back to you something you don't like, and you get this emotional reaction to it. And Caesar, you can relate to this, with the child too. Is like you have this moment when, because you've meditated, you're able to grab hold of your thoughts a lot quicker and not let those emotions run away. And so
Mm-hmm.
you shorten this emotional refractory period from when you actually have the emotional reaction to when you can, like, kind of settle yourself and think clearly about how you're going to then respond to it. And so that window shortens because I meditate, because my mindfulness in those scenarios is much more active, because I've
Mm-hmm.
trained and I've conditioned myself to stop and think about what I'm thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
As opposed to letting my emotions just like, just fire off like a shotgun.
yeah, it's like
Powerful.
it's like
Yeah.
so soothing. Like it's sort of like you're massaging your mind, right? You're just filling it with your own ideas that you originate, right? Like constantly you're just bombarded with other people's
But
ideas, other
yeah, and
people's
yeah,
input.
think about this too.
Yeah.
So many people, like, their solution, and majority of people, I would say more people exercise than meditate by
Mm-hmm.
and far.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will have no problem like physically conditioning their
Yeah.
body,
They want the
and
physical.
but they're not taking care and and mentally conditioning the
Mm-hmm.
mind, which is actually what controls the
The
body,
body. Yeah.
right? And we're missing that. I feel like if people can take that and say, I'm not just going to focus on working out my body 4 or 5 times a week in the gym, but I'm going to meditate 4 or 5 times a week and work on the mind and
Mm-hmm.
condition that to take control. Think about how much more powerful taking
Mm-hmm.
that approach would be into how your fitness and all that would result of it, because you'd be much more mindful, you'd be much more mentally sharp to
Mm-hmm.
make the right decisions on when to exercise, how to have better relationships in
Yeah.
your life, you know. So I think like people need to start thinking about that a little differently, and not just condition their body, but focus on conditioning their mind
Mm-hmm.
just as much, if not
Like
more.
the number one complaint that people, when I ask them, like, do you meditate? They're like, no, I can't stop thinking. It's like, right? They're like, I can't
That's the
stop
point.
thinking. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
point. It's like, yeah, but what are you, it's like, focus on what are you thinking about? What you're thinking about
Right.
your
Right.
own ideas, or are you thinking about things that's beyond your control? If you can slow down and start thinking about your own ideas, then you'll just start meditating constantly. But when you're just
Yeah,
constantly
yeah,
thinking of other people's, like, oh man, my boss was an asshole, or my friend is a bitch, whatever. Those are outside
the damn
influences.
bitch friend.
Yeah, right. Start originating your own ideas, and you can only do that
Yeah,
with meditation, man. Like, you
yeah,
just calm your mind and just start thinking for yourself. Like, you're creating your own reality. You're creating
yeah,
that bitchy friend, that asshole boss. Like, you're
yeah.
doing it, but you got to figure yourself out and start
But you
thinking the
also
way that
you
you
have
want to
you
think.
also have to stop judging yourself and the fact that you think that way. That's the biggest thing for me when meditating, was when I realized, because I was that person in the beginning, like, I can't meditate. I suck at this. I can't even
Mhm.
stop thinking about everything I got to do for today and
Yeah.
how shitty yesterday was. How am I supposed to think about just being in my thoughts right now? And then I realized, well, wait a minute. The whole point of meditating is to be okay with your thoughts, let them come, let
Hmm.
them go. Don't judge the fact that you're thinking that way. Just think and let them pass. And that's the whole point, is you're trying to create awareness that you're thinking that way. That is
Hmm.
the point of meditation. And so once that, like, light bulb went off in my head, I was like, oh, that's what this is about. And then I got better at it. Then I was able to, like, really catch on. And like I said,
Hmm.
just like I do, in my everyday life, where I try to train myself to say, when something emotionally exciting happens, am I able to, collect myself quicker and not overreact to things and make bad decisions because I didn't think, and I just reacted. If I can do that in my meditation practice much more readily, which I do,
Hmm.
obviously I do that better. The more I do it in my meditation practice, the more it's going to show up in my everyday life. And I'm not going
Hmm.
to be perfect. I'm still going to be an emotional, mess sometimes when something happens, and, maybe fly off at the handle, or just, be a bit, I may be one of those bitch friends, who knows? but you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
able to find its transference into your life. So,
Yo, it's
um,
something where you go into, like, I don't want to geek out too much on meditation, but like, you get into like this deep state where you're like so in the zone that literally you have like another world that you just entered, right? It's not dark, it's just like another world that you just entered, and you can just move so clearly and freely through it. You're just like, man, like speaking of, I can't wait to go do another meditation session tonight. But
I'm
it
looking forward to
really,
my next meditation session too. And I haven't really gotten into it. Like, I'm not very consistent with it, but the idea has been manifesting itself more and more into my mind. It's something I want
yeah,
to do more.
start bringing awareness to how it'll affect you throughout the day. Like, at this point, I know that if I don't meditate, I'm going to have like a pretty bad day, so I just make sure, like, hey, I want me to have like a nice calm day. And then that's why, like, if I don't make both of them, like, tonight, so literally I meditate before I go to bed and then when I wake up. If I
yeah.
don't get mines at nighttime, if I like party into like 2 a.m., then I make sure I get it in the morning, and then I get one in the
And
afternoon.
think about frequency this way, just like exercise when it comes to consistency, right? Doing let's say a 30-minute workout 4 to 5 days a week is
Hmm.
better than doing a Saturday, Sunday hour workout and then waiting 5 days to work out. Doing the 30 days sprinkled in throughout the week is way better, in my opinion, on how you can get in better shape, condition yourself, be more
Hmm.
consistent. Same thing with the meditation practice. You're much better off doing 3 minutes a day, 7 days a week, which is absolutely doable. If you don't have 3 minutes, you don't have a life.
Yeah.
You can do 3 minutes every day. Get into the practice of just conditioning yourself to do it every day, to sit
Hmm.
down and do the practice. That's better than doing 20 minutes, on Monday, and then 2 days go by, and then 20 minutes on Saturday, and you're not really consistent with it. You're not getting much out of it if you're only doing it sporadically, versus it's a called a meditation practice for a reason. It's
Hmm.
about developing that daily time for yourself when you sit down and practice. When you say the word practice versus behavior, or practice versus habit, practice means I'm doing something to improve a specific skill versus a habit or a behavior, which kind of sounds like I'm trying to change something that I don't like about myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Practice has actually a better self-talk, language about it, because it's something you do to get better at a specific skill. So I even use that language when I'm talking with clients. I talk about a practice versus a behavior, a practice versus a habit. So
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that same sort of language too. And
yeah.
I don't know too much about this theory, but newbie gains, right? Like new meditators, like if they stick to it for like a week or something, they see
Mm-hmm.
some dramatic results like early. And
Mm-hmm.
it's I would try that out. Like 7 days, like if you want a boot camp, 7 days, 10 minutes each time, right? Do that first thing in the morning, like wake up 10 minutes earlier and do it. Like, see, test it. So if you're watching this, you're not a meditator, try the newbie gains meditation test. Do it for 7 days, 10 minutes in the morning, and report back to us, because I've like this, I don't have the data to prove it, but people who've done it,
A lot of anecdotal.
yeah, exactly. So I would love to like really test that theory and see
All right,
if
guys,
there's
should
like
we it's a little after 9. You want to wrap this up? Any parting words?
yo, subscribe to my YouTube channel, man, or follow me on Instagram
Cool.
at The Seas Life. That's
Nice.
about it.
Yeah, I got the new site out. You guys saw fitcoachconsultant.com. Blog is
Mhm.
there, man. I'm posting, I'm writing like
Oh,
4 or
so
5
it's
days.
live already?
I'm writing like 4 or 5 days a week now. I have blog posts
Oh,
going up.
yo, send me the link so that I could
Yeah.
put it in the, send me the link with this video so I could just put it
Yeah,
in
it's all
the
for coaches, like content for coaches, man. So
ooh, I love that, man.
yeah.
For me,
Cool.
I mean, I found this conversation really valuable, specifically Mike's technique with networking and connecting people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so incredibly valuable. It's not really a way that I've seen networking before. I think that's awesome. And then Caesar, asking yourself the really tough questions. I think that's something that is easy. Like I can think of a couple times today where I could have asked myself some really tough questions, found some really simple answers, and have been able to get over those obstacles a little bit easier. And yeah, that's great. So thank you guys.
Yeah, this was awesome. A great
Awesome.
spontaneous call. I love
Yeah.
it. This
Always
could be episode number 86, I believe. So yeah, share with me and it will be episode number 86.
Cool.
Nice, dude. All right, fellas.
All right.
Let's stop
Have a
here.
great night, guys.